Have you ever opened the lid of your compost bin after a few months and just stood there for a moment because a sharp, sour smell hit you right in the face? Inside is a wet, mushy pile of kitchen scraps, nothing like fertilizer and nothing that looks useful for your garden. I've been in that exact moment, many times. You turn it regularly, you follow the instructions, you wait, hoping that it'll sort itself out. But 6 months go by, a year goes by. Some people wait 2 years, and the result is still disappointment. The compost doesn't break down, it doesn't become crumbly, it's unusable. And then what happens? A lot of people quietly give up. They go back to chemical fertilizers, faster, more convenient, with instant visible results. But the trade-off is soil that becomes compacted, plants that grow dependent, and real questions about the long-term health of their families. Very few people tell you this. The problem isn't your patience. The problem is that your compost pile is suffocating. And with just one very small change, you can completely reverse this story. Understanding the core issue, why home composting often fails, and how to unlock the right mindset. The biggest barrier isn't your effort. Imagine a weekend morning. You carry your kitchen waste to the compost bin. Orange peels, banana skins, coffee grounds, leftover vegetables from last night's dinner. They're all organic, all green, all recommended for composting. You dump them in, mix things up, close the lid. Everything seems right. But a few weeks later, there's a sour smell. A few months later, it's worse. Flies, ants, slimy, unpleasant patches. At this point, many people start blaming themselves. I must be doing something wrong. I'm not turning it enough. Maybe I need microbes or some kind of activator everyone's selling online. A friend once told me bluntly, I quit. Composting is just too hard. But the truth is this. Composting isn't hard. We're just missing the most important point. The root cause few people talk about. An acidic environment. Kitchen waste from Vietnamese households and from many families around the world has one thing in common: high acidity. Fruit peels, especially citrus, coffee grounds, fast fermenting vegetables, all of them produce organic acids as they break down. So what happens when acid builds up? Beneficial microorganisms, the invisible workers responsible for decomposition, slow down. They stop generating heat. The pile doesn't warm up. And without heat, aerobic decomposition almost comes to a halt. Instead, the pile turns anaerobic. It ferments. It turns sour. It smells bad. That's when odors appear, insects move in, and you start losing faith. The key point: you didn't do anything wrong. The microbial environment inside your pile is simply starving for air and balance. The mindset shift: don't rush to buy expensive products. There was a time when I did what many others do. I bought microbial starters, compost activators, fast compost powders. They weren't cheap. The ads sounded great, but the results were inconsistent. One batch worked, another didn't. And I started asking myself, if organic matter decomposes so easily in nature, why do I need to depend on so many external products? Then one day, I noticed something simple in my kitchen: baking soda. At first, I wasn't thinking about compost. I was thinking about basic chemistry. Baking soda is a mild, safe alkali. It's commonly used to neutralize acids. And a question popped into my head. If the real problem in compost is acidity, why not address that first? That was the moment everything changed. Why baking soda is the overlooked key. Baking soda isn't a microbial inoculant. It doesn't directly break down waste, but it does something far more important. It brings the pH of the compost pile back to an ideal range, around 7 to 8. At this pH level, beneficial bacteria thrive. They multiply quickly, generate heat, and take control of the pile. Remember this: successful composting isn't about adding more things. It's about creating the right conditions. Baking soda is just the unlocking tool. The real heroes are the natural microorganisms, when the magic starts happening inside the pile. After using baking soda correctly, the first thing I noticed was temperature. The pile heated up noticeably. Not just a vague warmth, but real heat, over 60 degrees Celsius, 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Before, it barely reached 40 degrees Celsius. That temperature jump meant everything. Heat activates thermophilic bacteria. They break material down faster and cleaner. They destroy pathogens and weed seeds. The sour smell disappeared. It was replaced by the pleasant smell of forest soil. Insects decreased dramatically. The compost pile stopped feeling like trash and started feeling like a living system. People ask me, so is baking soda doing all the work? No. Baking soda just flips the switch. Biology does the rest. A method so simple anyone can do it. I don't want to overcomplicate things. No machines, no sensors, no academic knowledge. Here's the formula. 1 cup of baking soda, mixed with 7 to 8 liters of water. As you layer your compost, green layer, brown layer, just lightly water each layer with this solution. Don't pour it all in one spot. Don't overuse it. The goal isn't to make the pile alkaline, it's simply to reduce excess acidity. Have you ever felt relieved realizing you don't need to buy anything new to do this right? The results after 8 weeks. Numbers that speak. Before, after 8 weeks, only about 20 to 25% of the material had broken down. Most of it was still recognizable. With this approach, after the same amount of time, over 70% had turned into rich, crumbly humus. Dark color, fluffy texture, no garbage smell. That was the moment I knew I was on the right path. More importantly, my confidence came back. And when people regain confidence, they keep going. Real plant trials beyond theory. I used this compost on tomatoes, leafy greens, and a few young fruit trees. The results were obvious. Stronger plants, thicker leaves, fewer pests, deeper, healthier root systems. Yields increased by about 30% compared to control beds. I didn't need a lab to see that. I just needed to look at the plants. This is real-world data, not marketing hype. Long-term value for soil, something chemical fertilizer can't replace. True compost doesn't just feed plants, it feeds the soil. Clay soil becomes looser. The soil holds moisture better without waterlogging. Microbial life grows richer with every season. Healthy soil grows healthy plants. Healthy plants nourish healthy people. That's a cycle. Chemical fertilizers can never create. Smart agriculture in the AI era. We're living in the age of AI, where data and technology are advancing rapidly. But technology only matters when it's paired with the right biological understanding. A small change based on core principles can create massive impact. Home composting, combined with data, awareness, and sustainable habits, is smart agriculture at the household level, turning waste into resources, protecting the environment from your kitchen, taking control of your family's health. If you've listened this far, I believe you've realized something important. Composting was never the hard part. The real challenge wasn't turning the pile. It wasn't waiting. It wasn't a lack of patience. The challenge was misunderstanding the process. Kitchen waste isn't useless. It's just been sitting in the wrong environment. Fix the key point, balance the microbial environment, and everything else falls into place. Baking soda isn't a miracle. It's a smart, affordable, safe tool that helps you open the door you've been pushing on for so long. When your compost pile starts heating up, when the sour smell disappears, when crumbly humus appears in weeks instead of years, you'll feel a very real sense of joy. Not just the joy of gardening, but the joy of taking control of your waste, your soil, and your family's health. In the AI era, technology can help us analyze, measure, and optimize. But the foundation is still biological understanding and daily sustainable habits. It starts in the kitchen. It starts with a pile of waste that once seemed worthless. If you found this helpful, subscribe to the Compost channel and join me on a journey toward greener, smarter, more intentional living. We're not just growing plants, we're restoring trust in the soil, in nature, and in ourselves.